key is you need to have some certainty of your cash inflows. See if some of your customers, if they've had to postpone events, if you're in catering or entertainment or whatever it is, if they've had to cancel or postpone events, ask them if they can, see if you can keep the, you know, try to keep the deposits, see if they'll pay you 50% up front, or ask them, you know, if they want to book you for something in September or October, or whenever the event's delayed to, can you issue them vouchers instead in you know, in return for at least some, if not all, of the payment that they'll owe to you. See if you can increase, as Owen said, look, the pandemic is terrible for a lot of businesses, but it also does supply some opportunities. And one of those opportunities that a lot of customers, our clients of mine, are recognizing is the ability to sell online, or even to provide their services online, which they may not have even considered before, or it may have just been a very small part of their business. So do you have any products that you can deliver to businesses, other businesses, or to consumers in their home? A lot of us are working from home. We still need office supplies. A lot of us are homeschooling our kids. Most of the stationery shops and bookshops are closed, not only physically, also online because of social distancing, etc. So if you're still in business and if you can still supply online, see what you can do there. Online shopping is booming across the home consumer sector. I know DPD, for example, can't take on any new courier orders for another week because there's been a bit of a rush coming up to Easter as well. Do you have any products or services that you haven't thought of before? For example, some brewing companies, alcohol companies have started producing hand sanitizer for the HSE, or producing protective clothing, etc. Is there anything that you can do that you could supply to government departments or to customers, to businesses, that you haven't thought of before? So think about things there like, you know, can you do deliveries of your products that you have, food, flowers, plants, office deliveries. People are still buying clothes and footwear online if you've had to close your retail premises. If you're a graphic designer, an artist, it's impossible to get greeting cards. People are still having birthdays and anniversaries even though they're not being celebrated. Could you perhaps do a portrait or off the back of a photograph that could be emailed to you that you can mail out? If you're a restaurant or a cafe, can you do food takeaways, deliveries, or even click and collect to keep everything contactless? If you have a hotel or a bed and breakfast, think about, can you offer your rooms for social isolation for healthcare worker purposes? You'll be paid for that. And again, can you issue vouchers for later on, or can you offer other services as well? So just think a little bit beyond the next 3 months as well. Is there anything that you can do, that you can start developing now through the help of business feasibility grants, etc.? In terms of then your suppliers, so your creditors, people that you owe money to, immediately stop any discretionary spending. If you were planning refurbishment of your business or extending your business in any way, that may well have to be delayed now. If you are having liquidity issues, contact your suppliers straight away. Ask if you can, you know, get credit from them. Can you delay payments? Can you get a payment deferral? Put in place the payment plan again, giving you and them certainty of cash flow into the future. A lot of people have already done this. If you haven't and you are having liquidity issues, you need to stop all of your automatic direct debits and standing orders with your bank, and then immediately pick up all of the recipients of those and try to negotiate a different arrangement with them that won't be an instant withdrawal of cash from your business. Then talking to some of your larger creditors, landlords, for example. I know it's difficult and there are long-term leases and rental agreements in place, but can you negotiate a payment break or a payment deferral in your rent or lease payment? Can you talk to your utility providers? Again, if you've stopped direct debits to them, can you put in place a payment plan with them? They have been asked by the government not to implement any disconnections for homes or businesses over the period of the pandemic, but do put in place some sort of a payment plan so we know with certainty what your cash outflows are going to be. The government has agreed with all of the local councils since the 20th of March until the end of May that anybody in retail, hospitality, leisure or childcare will not have to pay their rates. But you need to just let your local council know that you'd like to avail of that scheme as well. For those of you with insurance policies, rather than paying annual insurance premiums, can you put a payment plan in place, perhaps get a 3-month deferral and then pay monthly. For those of you with business interruption insurance, there has been a big hullabaloo about the insurance companies not paying out. The central bank has told the insurance chief executives that they need to err on the side of to favour companies who have business interruption insurance clauses in their insurance policies. But I know a lot of my clients and other companies are having issues with this. If you are having a problem, rather than taking your insurance company to court, then you should go straight to their regulator. And that's on the slide that I'm sending to you, the Financial Services and Pensions Ombudsman. So if they're not paying out and you feel that it is in your insurance policy, you have a clause in there for business interruption, then think about appealing that, because that would be a great help to your business at this stage. In terms of the revenue, they're doing their utmost to help companies like you with cash flow as well. Usually they're the first person that you need to pay. The revenue is always in times of trouble, they need to be paid first, but not in this case. They're asking everybody to continue to file the returns. Because of social distancing, they've had to close their helplines. The one that is open is the National Employer Helpline for the COVID subsidies and unemployment claims, but I'll move on to that in a minute. They have suspended all debt enforcement activity, and a new leaflet's just been released over the weekend, which I've added to the useful links page of this presentation. Interest on late payments for VAT has been suspended now for March and April. That's been extended again from last month, and interest on late payments for employers' PAYE has also been suspended for April. So I'd imagine a lot of those schemes will be expanded as well and extended, so keep an eye on that. In terms of the COVID-19 income support scheme, look, the government, like everybody else, is trying to flatten the curve of the recession as best they can. One of the ways of doing that is to try and reduce the amount of unemployment. Unfortunately, our employment rate has gone well beyond what it was during the last recession. It's now well above 17%. That's what it was at the weekend. I think figures have gone up since then, and that's why they extended the income support scheme, and they've made it very simple. If you have had to make yourself or employees redundant, to make it easy for you to convert them back to the income support scheme, where you can pay them up to €410 a week. The government is going to subsidise 70% of the salary. The important thing is to keep your employees on the books. Just think back to even a month ago how difficult it was to employ people and to retain them on the books, and how difficult it might be then to re-employ them when this pandemic is over and the restrictions are lifted in whatever way they are. All you have to do is literally tick on a box to say that you have suffered from a 25% reduction in turnover in order to avail of this scheme. You do not have to declare yourselves to be insolvent either. So have a look at that again. I've put all of the guidance on that on the useful links at the end of the presentation. Just to be careful though, a lot of companies were not getting their refunds last week and the week before because they didn't have a refund bank account set up. So just make sure that you have that in place. In terms of bank schemes, now I know that John and Garrett are going to be speaking about MFI and SBCI schemes. I highly recommend, if you haven't engaged with your bank, engage with them straight away and let them know that you're having liquidity issues. The next thing you need to do is sit down with your accountant and draw up a 3-year cash flow analysis. Once you've been through the sort of cash flow exercises I've just talked about, then draw up your cash flow analysis for the first year monthly and then annually for years 2 and 3 to try and establish exactly how much funding you need in the short term for liquidity purposes over the next 6 to 12 months. And then once you've had a good think about your strategy going forward, as Owen rightly pointed out, we may all have to change our strategy in some way because we're looking at a new world when this pandemic is over. So think about which way your business is going to go and think about 3 scenarios. Worst case scenario, some sort of a date when we can get back to normal, when your business can get back to normal, say in 3 to 4 months, or is your business only going to get half back to normal? Is there going to be a partial return to normality after this? So perhaps think about those 3 scenarios and then go to your bank and discuss financing with them. Have a look to see what you have in place. You may well have an overdraft or a bank loan facility in place that you haven't used. If you find since the crisis started that you're heavily using an overdraft, which is expensive, then talk to your bank about converting that to a bank loan. It will be a lot cheaper. The government has agreed with all of the banks that they will offer a deferral of 3 months on any business mortgage loans or loan repayments if any business customer has suffered a loss of turnover because of COVID-19. This will not affect your business credit rating. The central bank has made this very clear. And when the payment break expires, the monthly repayments will either be increased to keep within the term of the loan, or they'll be extended out by 3 months. So talk to the banks. They also have a number of liquidity loans that are available to you. The central bank has freed up capital requirements from the bank, and the government has said they don't have to pay them a dividend this year, repay any of the repayments from the bailout that were due, in order to free up capital and money available to help businesses like yourself. And I know, I think John is probably going to talk about the SBCI credit guarantee scheme, so do have a look at that as well. And just to finish off, because I think I'm just about up to time, Owen did touch on the €2,500 vouchers that are available to help you to get it, consultants or mentors to help you go through your cash flow, to help you go through a business plan for the next 3 years, and to think about how you can, you know, make changes to your business. That voucher, which is fully funded, which is fantastic, can also be used to look at bringing your business online or to improve your e-commerce presence. Don't forget to work on social media as well, to let companies know and business and consumers know that you are available to service them online, etc. All of the other grants, etc., are in place. If you're an EI customer, they also have a €200 million package for liquidity and restructuring, and that is loans of between 25,000 and 800,000. So talk to them about that. And Enterprise Ireland, again, if you are an Enterprise Ireland client, have grants available to help you with innovation, and to look at competitiveness, restructuring your business, looking at new strategies, and also to help you with e-marketing improvement through a business process improvement grant. So talk to your GA about that. So I'll leave you with the useful links then, and I think Mariah is going to send this presentation to you after today, after the webinar, and if you just click on the links, that will bring you through to further information and application forms, etc. So if you have any questions, as I say, if you want to email me, or I'm also on the mentoring panel and the panel for the business continuity vouchers with the local enterprise office. I'll just come out of that now.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. That was much appreciated. And just one thing that struck me was there was some rumours going around about dissuading companies from availing of some of the government supports in terms of keeping employees, saying that they'd be over trading, which I just thought was it's bad advice, very bad advice. So if anyone has heard, came across that rumour, I would just get proper professional advice on that. Thanks for that comprehensive analysis. And we will share your slides, Yvonne, when this is